First and foremost, I would just make sure as a board member that you talk to your chief executive and you make sure that the communications team, the legal team, the HR team are working together to be sure that you're prepared for these things, right? There's a lot you can do to prepare. Now, once it happens, it's going to go sideways a number of times, but at least you have something to kind of work from. I think the first step is, does your company have sort of, laid out, here's the types of things we think are likely to happen, and here are the playbooks associated with each one that says, here's how we're going to deal with that. If you're a board member, you need to make sure your executives have this playbook written. You don't need to know, necessarily be an expert on social media or anything else. You just need to know that your executives have put together. We just did this for a Fortune 50 company in the last few weeks where we just laid out, it's not that hard, we just laid out what's the top 15 things that we think could happen here. What are the things we're going to do to mitigate that from happening, right? What are the things we can do to try to prevent that from happening? And then once it actually happens, what are the things we're going to do to try to shrink the news cycle and try to deal with this the best way possible? Now, the question of social media, the tenets of how you deal with a crisis are the same, okay? You need to get to the truth as quickly as possible. You need to tell the whole truth all at once and not let it drip out. And that needs to be told by whoever's in charge. And that's in a nutshell, it's very oversimplifying it, but the tenets are basically the same. You need to have empathy, transparency, honesty. What's changed with social media, though, is the velocity by which these news cycles go. And I think there's a much more of a need for discipline than there was before with this, because there's a lot more noise, and you don't know if these are bots on Twitter. You don't know if the people talking about this on Facebook actually matter to your core audience. And so there's a lot more that needs to be done to make sure you're separating the signal from the noise. And the velocity of this stuff goes so quickly that you have to be disciplined and not want to go and respond to every single thing. Mm-hmm. You want to win the news story war and not necessarily the news cycle battle every day. Tell the whole truth as quickly as possible, but you got to tell the whole thing, right? Because it's going to get out there. A wise mentor of mine once said that the first one to full disclosure wins. The first one to full disclosure wins. You want to be yourself. You don't want the news to be from somebody else getting out there at full disclosure. It's really, really important that all of you, when something happens, you dig, and you're skeptical of your own people who you trust. Otherwise, you get like the president of Penn State who comes out and says, these are good people and they didn't do anything wrong. It turns out they did. Where I think I've seen these things go sideways more than not is when people who have worked together for a long time, who know each other and trust each other, just trust that, okay, the chief executive is probably right. I trust him, that nothing probably happened. And it's not malicious. I think it's just human nature that we want to believe our colleagues, and that you're going to sort of say, I don't think this is that big of a deal, right? I think that you want to err on the side of skepticism. You want to err on the side of what did Michael Corleone say to Sonny? It's just business. It's not personal. It's just business, right? In The Godfather, and I think that's kind of the attitude you need to have with your chief executive. Is it's not personal, it's just business, and we'd be a lot better off if we understand this. And let's double check, and hopefully it's nothing. That'd be awesome, right? But worst case, we find out it is something, and we're ahead of it, right? Either way, we win.